Hey everybody. This is my very first live. Oh Lord, my collar's jacked up. But anyways, this is my very first live on YouTube, and I'm super excited. Um, for y'all that don't know me, my name's Melissa. I live in Hillsboro, Texas. Sorry, I'm in a class, and so I'm out by the library. That's the reason why I'm in the car. But anyways, um, I started this YouTube because I've been doing a live on my Facebook for a little while. Um, I live in Hillsboro, Texas, and I'm a member of the United Pentecostal Church there. Brother Clay Strawn is my pastor. Um, and I just felt like I needed to start doing something for the Lord, and I really didn't know what it was. Um, but basically, I just started asking the Lord to help me do more for Him. Uh, and so He basically uh, had get some books and things like that in March. So I'll give you a little bit of feedback. In March, we went to a ladies' conference, and they had lots of books from Pentecostal Publishing House there. And I walked around, and I have a lot of those books, but I walked around and kept looking at them, and I went sit down and come back another time, and I got this book called Enough. And I kept looking at it, and I thought, okay. So I kind of opened it up to the introduction. And the first few things says, have you ever felt like you weren't enough? Like you couldn't handle it, like you didn't measure up, as if you were miserably a side note. And I immediately thought, I so need to get this book because you know what? This is so true. So many times I have all these issues that I don't feel like enough. I don't feel like enough of a wife, a mother, a Sunday school teacher, just all these things. And so I decided I was gonna get this book. And I told my friend JC, I was like, I really don't know why I'm getting it, but I feel like I needed to. She said, well, you got it for a reason. And so, anyways, I set it down. It was in the bag. I set it down underneath my seat. And the very first speaker that stood up, she was talking and just started talking. She said, y'all, I don't know who this is for, but the Lord wants me to tell you you're enough. And JC just looked and goes, see, told you. I'm like, all right. And so I come back, and I really wanted to do something at the church, but I didn't know how to go about doing it. I messaged my pastor's wife, and she said, okay. And it just kind of laid there, and I didn't say anything else about it. And I kind of felt like maybe she was just busy and, things like that. And so I never bothered her about it. But I got to feeling like I needed to do something with this book. So we moved in March, um, end of March, to our new house. And so it got packed. Well, about no, yeah, about 8 weeks ago, the Lord impressed me on reading this book. And I was like, well, Lord, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. And he said, Facebook. Imagine that. And I'm a Facebooker. I like to go at Facebook. I chat on Facebook about a lot of things to people and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, point is, I got to thinking, how am I going to do this? Well, then I got on and I did my first little live, and I couldn't find this book first. So I was finding, I did chicken soup for the mother's soul. And I did that for like 3 or 4 days, and a lot of people liked it. They liked the stories, and they were sentimental about things, and they touched home with me for a lot of things. But I really still wanted to do this Enough book. So my husband says, "Why don't you look on Amazon, see if they got it, and then maybe you can get it on Kindle. You can just read it from the thing." So that's what I've got pulled up. Anyways, and so I did the whole book. It has 9 chapters, and I did the whole book in 9 days. Um, with a bunch of people from my Facebook, and then I had people that were coming up to me in the store, um, when I'd be working because I sparked for Walmart delivery, and they would come up and say, "Hey, I seen your post this morning. It was awesome. Thank you. I needed that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't know who they were, and they'd say, "Such and such is friends with you, and they watched it and they shared it with me. Thank you. I needed that. They knew what I was going through, and apparently you did too, or God did, whatever you want to say." And so, anyways, so we got done with that, and it's kind of bittersweet, but this book, the Lord was helping me fix things in my life that I didn't even know was fixed. Um, we just ended a second book that the Lord handed to me, and it had 12 chapters in it, and it broke me in so many ways and fixed things that I didn't even know were broken and needed fixing, but God knew. So, anyways, on Sunday after church this week, we went to eat lunch with a couple of friends of ours that just recently started attending our church, and that's just a story in itself. But, anyways, and while we were sitting there talking, and I was telling them about these books that the Lord had given me, um, I said, I know God's doing something. I don't really know what yet. But, anyways, um, so I finally thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And that's what I'm doing. And my husband said, you're not supposed to start a new book when you start your YouTube. You start those books over again. So that's what I'm doing. Um, so the introduction of Enough is what I just read a few minutes ago. And I'm going to go ahead and read some more parts of the introduction. It says, like you were insignificant, invaluable, or replaceable, that you were less than everyone else, like you didn't deserve what others had, that you weren't worthy of love or friendship. This book's for you. So, chapter 1 is enough, and so we're gonna start that, um, and I'm new at the YouTube thing, so y'all come, follow me, subscribe, whatever it is that I need to do at this point. I'm still new at it. I'm gonna figure it out, and if you know what you're doing, shoot me a message and let me know. You can find me on, if you I'm sure you can leave messages on here. Um, but anyways, uh, husband. Hello, I'm in the middle of a live right this minute, and everybody can hear you. Um, anyways, and so I'm gonna read this, and if you can leave messages on here, that's fine. If you can't, you can find me on Melissa DeVore. I look good on Facebook. Um, anyways, I want to know what you think about these videos. If it's something that you're needing or something that can help you, I'm totally fine with that too. Chapter 1 says, enough. Come to me, all who labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. In June 2019, I married the love of my entire life in a Virginia girl. I'm a Virginia girl, and Josh is a youth pastor in North Carolina. Genuine and sweet, funny and thoughtful, kind and intelligent. He's one of those people that can do everything well, from painting, watercolor to playing guitar and selling insurance. He easily swept me off my feet. We were married at my home church in Virginia, then flew off to a honeymoon in Italy. For 2 carefree weeks, we eagerly touched the winding streets of Siena, dined by candlelight in Florence, and swooned in Italian guitar music in a pizzazz. We swam in the salty sea of the Cinque Terre and explored up and down highways in our little rental car, admired the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican, and ate lasagna at all hours of the night. It was perfect. When we returned to the States, it was only a matter of weeks before we took our youth group of 30 on a 16-hour bus ride one way to a National Youth Conference convention in a week. The Monday after we arrived back home, sorry, y'all, I stepped into a new job at a local high school teaching ninth grade English. The door to glorious summer was shut, and life took over with a rush. Josh and I both worked full time on the top of so many other obligations. I started Kindness Club at the school, attended after school professional learning, community meetings, became involved in extra leadership opportunities, and attended professional development sessions. Josh went back to school to finish his degree online, so some evenings and late nights were devoted to schoolwork. Each week, we committed to helping our church, going early on Sundays to prepare for music practice, spending hours picking up and dropping off kids in the van for church on Wednesdays, teaching youth class, teaching Sunday afternoon Bible studies, and putting on youth events on Fridays. We scheduled time to open our home to friends and time to visit family. Josh taught 3 to 4 Bible studies per week during this lunch breaks and started writing a book. All the while, we were nearly newly married, trying to learn how to meal plan, resolve conflicts, and find a routine. Sorry, I just lost my spot. It's a running joke for some who have been to our house about the huge dry erase board that hangs in our dining room. This board is filled with our schedule of events, to dos, and goals to accomplish that month. It's intimidating some days because I came home and cried for sheer emotional exhaustion. During this time in my late 20s, I began to evaluate where I was in the scope of my life. God had just given me a beautiful marriage and a new place to live, and it was a blessing. But transitions stir up big inner questions because we start to reflect on who we are in making new relationship and connections with. Questions like, how much value am I adding to my new community? Will I earn others' respect? How much time will it take? Will I be able to form close relationships? Will I be an effective leader and influencer? So I began to reflect on my identity in the process of this shift, and to truly be transparent, a heaviness set in during those early months of marriage that caused me to question whether or not I had actually accomplished enough in my life. Was I enough in all the hats that I wore? As an educator, a wife, a youth leader, a daughter, a sister, etc. The questions kept coming. Had I achieved some level of mastery at teaching after 6 years? Was I spending enough time with the teens in the youth group? Had I made a difference in their lives? Was I giving enough of myself? Did they see me as a role model? Would I ever achieve my goals? What had I accomplished during my 29 years? I had been given a beautiful life and I was very thankful. But if I'm being honest, there was a piece of me that walked around with deep sense of failure, or maybe fear of failure, hanging over my head. My reality wasn't aligning with my goals because I still had enormous dreams and plans for my life that just hadn't come true yet. And so the worry set in. Was enough? Was it this enough? Was I enough? Would I ever be enough? And I've felt that way so many times, and I'm sure y'all have too. That's just life is not easy. It's not. And so many times you feel like you're failing. I mean, my baby son is 20 years old, and my little girls are 9 and 10. And when they come into my life, I didn't know I was ready for little girls. And girls are so much different than boys by tons of differences. There's more emotion going on. They're sad or they're crying or they're laughing or they're fighting, whatever. And I began to wonder, am I enough to be a mom to them? Am I part a spot in my life that where I'm too old to be a good mom to them? Am I able to do things that they need me to do or want me to do? And so that was a big thing. I'm still married. I've only been married almost 5 years, and I love my husband dearly. And we'll talk about him throughout the journey of this new area of my life. But enough. I teach Sunday school and I sing on the platform at my church. I'm active. I do all these things. I just got appointed as over the nursing home ministry. And that's huge in itself because, those people are there and they can't get out and go and do all these things. And so we have to go to them. And I used to be a part of it. And the ladies that used to run it, one of them is still here with us and the other ones have went on to the Lord. But anyways, and so that's a huge responsibility in itself. And I'm super excited about it. But all these things hit me sometimes, and I was like, "Am I enough? Am I really enough?" So and I know everybody has felt that way in different areas of your life. At that moment, the coronavirus pandemic hit. Life seemed to halt suddenly, like wind-up toys suddenly losing their energy and freezing mid-motion. Spring break was extended, and then the shift to online learning seemed to happen overnight. Businesses and restaurants closed, parks shut down, grocery store hours changed, and toilet paper totally disappeared. The once bustling streets of our cute little town became empty. Meetings ceased due to gathering size limitations, and I had to work from home. People kept their distance. Events on the schedule were canceled months out. Schedules and routines changed. Everything was different, and I let out a breath and that I didn't realize I had been holding for months. Background: as an educator and youth leader, I live at the intersection of secular and religious support for youth. Between my classroom and my youth class, I get to support teens to become the best version of themselves. What an awesome privilege it is to help them learn and grow. I've witnessed some truly amazing things, students struggling with material and then finishing strong in the classroom, maturing and praying through their receiving the Holy Ghost at church camps, supporting each other in small groups. But these opportunities do not come without pressure, external and often internal. For the past 6 years, I've taught in the public school system. I understand that the pressure of deadlines, creativity, and management. I understand the pressure of deadlines, creativity, and management easily. I know what it's like to work late nights and early mornings. Teachers also have this drive within them to always improve, research, tweak, and change until it's perfect. As a youth leader and now a youth pastor's wife in North Carolina, I also know about all about planning events and leading groups. The spreadsheets, lists, phone calls, text, meetings, late nights, setup, donations, conventions, fundraisers, trips, and summer camps. It's a blessing and a privilege to be able to contribute to another person's life, but it can also be heavy. I have found myself carrying around this worry that what I'm offering and doing isn't enough, that I'm not enough. I believe that many of us carry around the internal belief somewhere deep down we feel like we aren't giving enough and that we aren't making enough of a difference and that we don't have enough. These not enoughs haunt us. Recently, God placed this word on my heart and began speaking to me about it. It's time to throw off this fear of not having being enough in order to live the fullness of liberty and peace that God has promised us. We don't have to be bound under the weight of expectations or fear of failure any longer. In a world that constantly pushes for more and more, we can take on mindset of enough and operate in the rest that God has called us to do. I hope this blesses you just as God has blessed me with a liberating understanding. Enough. God is calling us to live in the enough that He has already spoken over our lives. So, a couple of the questions it says, number one, in what areas of your life do people typically feel that they are not enough? And a lot of times it's just like I said earlier, sometimes if you're in a relationship or you're not, um, being a child of God, you never feel like you're enough because you always wanna do more and more and more for the Lord. If you're in a relationship, are you enough for your spouse, or are you enough for your husband or your wife? Are you enough for your children? Are you enough for your animals? Because, a lot of us don't, a lot of people don't even have kids yet, they just have animals, and they're a responsible my son has, 5 dogs right now, and he's only supposed to have 3. And, so he's getting rid of a mama that just had babies. So the responsibility again 5 months after their other dog had babies, here 5 months later, a new responsibility of 4 new babies come in. Now they've got that responsibility for another 6 weeks of trying to take care of them and finding them new homes and that kind of thing, and he's like, "Mama, it's overwhelming." I totally understand. Mama's been there many times. And as being a single mom for 8 years, it was really hard for me to try to finally get used to being the only provider or, how am I gonna be able to pay rent or the light bill or the water bill, and how am I gonna put food in the house, and my son plays football, so how am I gonna take care of all these things? And sometimes it was real stressful, but if it wasn't for the Lord, I could have never done it. He's always been there and always helped me through things, so those are areas, though, that you typically feel like you're not enough. The second one says, "Why do you think we wrestle with this question?" I think it's because we wanna be in control all the time, And so majority of the time, we want to be the ones that run our life, and we want to be the ones that make all the decisions. And we don't trust God that He's going to take care of it sometimes. Third question says, do you feel like you are enough? Why or why not? When I started this book, I did not feel like I was enough, but God has went in while I was reading this book before to my other group. He went in and was fixing things that I felt like was not good or was broken or whatever, you know? And so he helped me understand that I am enough in all the areas of my life. Some things I just have to work a little harder on. Number 4 says, what caused you to feel this way? Well, I just said, basically, there was things that I didn't know I was doing good enough, and I'd always kind of wonder and worry. And I've done so much better since I read this book. It really helped me. The Lord healed so many things in my life. Number 5 says, why is rest good for the soul? Rest is good for the soul because you eventually exhaust yourself from the inside out. Have you ever just ran and ran and ran and did everything, and you're up every morning early, you're bed late, and you get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep, if even that, and the whole time you're laying there trying to sleep, you're thinking of what has to still be done for the week or what I have to do by tomorrow, and you get so tired that you're really not even getting any sleep. I mean, you kinda go to sleep, but you're not really sleeping because your mind is on something, and then you wake up the next morning and it's still there, and you're immediately thinking, oh my goodness, it's today, it's already Wednesday. Oh my goodness, and I've got this, this, and this to do. And you know that's how life is. So number 6 says, how can rest help you gain a new perspective? It can help you actually stop and reset because sometimes you need that. Just stop. In my book I just got done with, there was a chapter in there that says, I don't remember if that was exactly the name, but in the book, chapter, it said, when you get overwhelmed, stop and pray and praise him. That's all you gotta do. Just stop what you're doing. If it's in the middle of the road, pull over on the side, of course. Stop, pray, and ask the Lord to help you and direct you, and then praise him for it. Always know God's got your best interest at heart, and he's never gonna let anything bad happen to you ever. That's just not his goal. He loves us, and he loves you. Scriptures to read are Matthew 11:28 through 29, Luke 10:38 through 42, Psalms 127 and 2, Exodus 33 and 14, Genesis 2, 2 through 3. The prayer to end this chapter says, Jesus, I know you care for me. You know what's on my mind, even when I put on a brave face. You know when I feel like I'm not enough or overwhelmed. God, I believe that you want to give me rest. Help me surrender to you the things that weigh on my mind and spirit. Please give me the courage to lay down my worries about accomplishing enough and simply rest in your presence. And that's exactly what the Lord wants us to do. Stop and just rest in his presence, y'all. So, anyways, so that's the book. I'm super excited about starting this YouTube. So, I hope that y'all enjoy it, share it. And if it's unshareable, if you can message me somehow, that'd be great. And I'll try to work on that. I'm still new at it. So, please help me uh, do something with this. The Lord's got something planned. I don't know what exactly, but He's the one that impressed me to start it. And we're going to do this every day. Sometimes I might do 2 or 3, just depending on what God tells me to do. But every day I'm going to do something. So, anyways, y'all have a really good day. And I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.